Welcome to the Triple D Podcast, Donuts, Disability, and Discourse, where host Michael Leiner talks to the best in the business about community, impact, business, and donuts. Here's your host, Michael Leiner.
Dr. Ben, welcome. I really appreciate you taking the time to join me and do this. This is not exactly what we had originally talked about before. I love your content, first of all, because it answers a lot of questions that I have and that the people who follow my videos have about functional medicine and just wellness and improvement. But it takes a little bit of a different approach than I think a lot of people here. You're very direct with the content that you give. And so I know that my followers, who are generally people who are applying for Social Security disability or have a family member, they're supporting a family member there's just so much great knowledge that you can give to us. We'd originally talked about doing a podcast, but I thought, let's be realistic. In long format, people aren't as interested in this. People have questions, and I have questions for you. Hopefully that'll spur questions out there from other people. And I just want to thank you for being so generous with your time. Let me ask.
So again, everybody just put those questions down below. If you've got any, as we go through here on the functional medicine side, I'll be happy to answer anything in there. So yeah, go ahead, Michael.
Thank you. Let me just ask for my followers who are viewing this and maybe don't know what functional medicine is. Can you explain it from like a bird's eye view? And then I already see questions that are right up your alley here, and I'm excited about this. We're going to give some great information today.
So, you've got rheumatoid arthritis, you've got lupus. My mom had MS. A bunch of different reasons why people can need to go on Social Security and everything else. But a lot of times it's not just, you blew out your low back and you can't walk. It's a functional imbalance, and it's an autoimmune or something like that. And so instead of saying, hey, let's give you methotrexate, which is low dose chemo, and then your hair starts falling out. Let's give you prednisone and trash your adrenals and make you gain weight. Let's give you $10,000 a month Humira. Let's figure out why your body is having these issues. Here's where this all started for me, Michael. My mom, she actually had to go on disability because she was a school teacher when I was a junior in high school. She got diagnosed with MS. They put her up, this back in the 90s. They put her on all the drugs. She got a cane, and she ended up getting a wheelchair. At Walmart, she'd have to get around in a little scooter, and we'd walk to church, and she'd be holding on my arm and like barely getting by, and it was this downward spiral, and she had to go on disability. So I'm right there with everybody on here. And fortunately, my dad, a couple years after I graduated high school, my dad retired. They moved down to the Ozarks in Missouri, on the Missouri-Arkansas border, like middle of nowhere, and found this doctor in this town of 10,000 people. And he started going through the functional medicine approach and started looking at her gut, at her brain, at her blood sugar, at inflammatory process, all these different things, and started going through step by step through that system-based approach of why the body would be attacking itself. So MS means the body is attacking its own nerves. Yep. Just like Hashimoto's, you're attacking your own thyroid, rheumatoid arthritis, you're attacking your own joints. Why in the world would the body attack itself? That just doesn't make sense, right? It's like friendly fire in the military. There's like, of everything you could do in the military, that's like the worst thing you could do is to shoot your own guys. And so my mom was able to heal from MS. My mom was able to get off all the drugs.
Heal from MS.
Heal from MS. Give away her wheelchair. Give away her cane. No more drugs. 20 years she's been MS free. Her MRI is clean. She's 81 years old. She does Granny Boot Camp. I could jump on and show you a picture of her a couple weeks ago. She was out in a float tube. If you fish, it's this tube that you sit in and paddle around, and she caught this big 20-inch largemouth bass, floating around at 81 years old. So this approach is all about getting people better. and healing and fixing, not the disease. I don't treat MS. That doctor didn't treat MS. I don't treat rheumatoid arthritis, but we treat the underlying imbalances, the adrenals, the leaky gut, the blood sugar, the infections, your low vitamin D, all those things. Yes, she has no more MS. Yeah, she does not have MS.
Dr. Ben, let me ask you a question that might be a little bit uncomfortable. So, credential-wise, you're not a medical doctor, but what you're talking about, functional medicine, actually getting to the core of what's wrong and attacking that as opposed to treating the problem. Why aren't MDs doing that? Why am I not finding, a source for people in traditional medicine, sorry to call it that is doing what you're doing, which is really solving the problem?
Yeah. And somebody just said, so her MS is in remission. I'm going to challenge that. I'm going to say, you don't go in remission for 20 years and have no more plaquing on your MRI. That's not remission. The body can heal. I have seen miracles over and over and over. So here's the deal. I've got multiple doctors working our clinic. FAWellCenters.com is our website. And I don't hire MDs, DOs, nurse practitioners, because the philosophy is so far, even if they've done natural training, it's still so far off of the basis of functional medicine, which is the body can heal. Your body, if you're given enough of the good stuff, take out enough of the bad stuff, your body can heal, versus the philosophy of MD school, DO school is going to be a this for that. So you've got this condition, we give you that. So instead of giving somebody a statin, if a traditional medical practitioner switches over to natural, they'll give them red yeast rice extract. And it's like, well, instead of that, let's fix the why. Why is your cholesterol high in the first place? And that's usually because somebody's blood sugar is out of balance. Their blood sugar is spiking up. That's why we use continuous glucose monitors with every single patient. And so when we start looking at that, it is more about fixing the underlying root causes as opposed to let's find turmeric to cover up your inflammation.
Let me ask you another question. So, we're kind of talking about somebody comes to you, they have MS. Somebody comes to you, they have lupus. And you're kind of working around trying to find the source of things, get their levels where they should be to help them live a healthier life. I'm perfectly healthy, Dr. Ben. Can I come to you and have you, is there a way that you can see what I'm at risk for, even though today things might not, and how much of your practice is that? You're nodding your head like that is possible.
Yeah, absolutely. But here's the thing is, I guarantee you live in America, you've eaten, maybe it's not standard American diet, but it's not, you haven't been out on,
I had McDonald's yesterday, if you're wondering.
Absolutely. So I guarantee your health is not perfect. And so, this is what we look at is, I always write AI in here for autoimmune, and is that backwards? I always forget if...
But this is the backwards hat barrister right here, so that's no problem. Yeah, it is all backwards. That's okay.
So I've learned to write backwards.
But
I've learned to write backwards for TikTok, not a big deal. So, this is what we're thinking about. Whether it's autoimmune, whether it's, just am I healthy? What can I do to get better? There's specific systems that we have to look at. We have to look at somebody's blood sugar. We have to look and see if they have leaky gut. We have to look and see what their adrenals are doing, what their estrogen's doing. Are they dealing with environmental toxins? Are there infections? What's their vitamin D level at? We have to go through system by system by system and figure out, and this is the fun part is, do you have a chronic bacterial infection or chronic viral infection? I don't care. Whichever shows up, that's what we've got to work on. Is your blood sugar going too low or is your blood sugar going too high? It doesn't matter. That's what we have to work on. So speaking of blood sugar, if you guys click in my link tree, you can download my free, wrong book, that was my brain book, Blood Sugar Doesn't Lie. I've got this one on there. You guys can download that for free on my link tree. It goes all into blood sugar and how it affects all types of different things.
How often do people come to you and they think that there's nothing wrong with them because standard medicine tells them that they're healthy and they're, the metrics that we normally look at seem okay, and then you're like, boy, we need to change what you're doing here. Does that happen a lot?
So this is what happens. Most people that feel good, they're not really going to be reaching out and doing a whole lot. But this is what happens: is people don't feel good. Here's the deal, Michael. The vast majority of people in this country do not feel good on a regular basis. Right. I've got just as many teens and 20-something-year-olds that we work with as opposed to 50 and 60-year-olds. Wow. It's rampant. Health is this term of like, well, I don't have cancer, so I must be healthy. But here's what happens. Somebody comes in and they're tired and their digestion is off and they're inflamed and they can't lose 40 pounds and their hair's falling out and they've got brain fog and all this stuff. And their doctor runs their blood work and goes, it looks pretty good. Come back next year. You've got some autoimmune markers, ANA, but come back next year. It's not bad enough yet to do anything about. That's what we see all the time is that, I'm not going to call it gaslighting. That word gets thrown around way too much, gaslighting, but it's the doctors don't have. Why do they prescribe prednisone? Why do they prescribe Humira? Because you have to get to this point. You have to have enough symptoms. Insurance is not going to pay $10,000 a month for Humira if somebody just shows up with a positive ANA and actually feels pretty good. They have to have major symptoms, have to have all this stuff, and then they will start doing that. So, most patients come to us and they've actually been told there's nothing wrong with them, even though they know something is wrong with them. And that's why we do the blood work like we do. That's why we dig in, figure out exactly what's out of balance, work through system by system, and start helping people get their lives back.
What are they noticing? Are they saying things like, I'm 38 years old, which is young. I'm very young. But I notice, like, for example, I work out every day. I do the basic things you're supposed to do. I'm not a health expert. I'm not a guru. But, I noticed a couple weeks ago when I'm just walking up the stairs in my house, my joints are a little bit achier than they used to be. And maybe, my sleep quality isn't quite as good as it used to. Are these the types of things that you're hearing from people who are healthy but have work to do?
Absolutely. Illyria just said, I'm always told nothing is wrong with me after blood work, yet when I read my blood work, I know something is wrong. And in your body, something is wrong. And so this is where there's two different things you have to think about with blood work. One is the right range. And so if you look at, we run our blood work through LabCorp. We have patients all over the U.S., all over the world, but we run them through LabCorp, and they call it reference interval. It's the bell curve. You could go to Quest Diagnostics, and they call it reference range. You could go to your local hospital, and they call it lab range. Nothing to do with health. So we narrow that down. So instead of being this big range out there, we narrow it down. What should that middle healthy range be? And that is so important when we're thinking about, let's figure out what is actually going on and what's out of balance. Because I really don't care. Like, as soon as I know someone's got a positive ANA, they've got a positive TPO for Hashimoto's, they got a positive rheumatoid factor, whatever. After that, I don't care what autoimmune it is. If you have antibodies, if you have autoantibodies and your body's attacking itself, I don't care, and it sounds kind of harsh, but I don't care as in, of course I care that you have an autoimmune disease, that's why you don't feel good. But I don't care what the label is. Yeah. What I care is what your adrenals are doing. Is your blood sugar going above 110? Is it dropping below 85? What's your vitamin D level? Is it at least 80? Are you dealing with leaky gut? What's your microbiome? Have you been on 50 rounds of antibiotics? Put down below, guys, if you've got autoimmune, how many rounds of antibiotics you think you've been on in your life? And a lot of people, it's going to be, that if they've got autoimmune, they've been on 30, 40, 50, 60 rounds. Oh, I used to do it 3-4 times a year when I had strep throat or whatever. And that, if there's one connection between autoimmune And anything else, the amount of antibiotics somebody's been on throughout their life is probably the biggest thing that I've seen connection-wise that could pinpoint, oh, yep, you're going to have autoimmune.
Let me ask this. So a lot of my clients they're out of work. That's kind of the baseline standard to apply for Social Security. So they don't have a ton of extra income. What are like basic principles that people can follow that they're going to be able to live a healthier life without, not everybody can shop at Whole Foods. Not everybody can, buy cartload of supplements. That sounds overwhelming to people when you're trying to figure out how you're going to keep a roof over your head next month. But what are just some tips that you can give to people that they can start making some changes that aren't going to kill them in their bank account?
Yep, absolutely. Just on that, I encourage you guys, check out my YouTube channel, check out my TikTok channel, free information, lots and lots of free information. You can get my Blood Sugar Doesn't Lie ebook. I've got multiple webinars on autoimmune, on thyroid, lots of things for free. So I've got tons of free information out there. This is my passion. I know the impact it has. If my dad, wasn't a teacher and wasn't able to retire like they did and save like they did and all those things, it would have crushed my parents, financially. And yet, they had some things set up. So here's some of the basics. Your vitamin D, if you have autoimmune, needs to be at least 80. So guys, put down below what your vitamin D level was last time you tested this, because this is a very, very cheap supplement everybody should be taking. And even if you can't afford it, get outside in your bikini between 11 and 1 every day. Just warn the neighbors, let them know if...
Totally free to do that. You're absolutely right.
Absolutely. TikTok account, Brittany, I think you're on here. What's our TikTok account? I think it's at Dr. Ben. I can't remember. That's how much we've got 435,000 followers on TikTok, but I can't even remember my TikTok handle. So vitamin D, yes, D with K is going to be great. The vast majority of people need to be taking at least 10,000 per day. Okay. And if you do, you guys, this is the good part. You're probably already on, Medicare, Medicaid. You're getting blood work covered through insurance, whatever. So make sure your doctor is requesting that vitamin D. Okay. Make sure they're requesting that vitamin D. If you get up, and Nini is on high weekly dose. I do not like high weekly dose. So they're doing 50,000 once per week. I've been practicing functional medicine for 25 years. I've done a lot of different ways, and doing it daily is way more effective than the once a week. That's one of my little pet peeves is most doctors just put them on the once a week dose. So 10,000 a day, way more effective than 50,000 once a week. And doing it with K is going to be fine. So taking that vitamin D is going to be huge. Even walking into Walmart, you can get a pound of grass-fed ground beef. And there's a difference between grass-fed beef and grain-fed. McDonald's has grain-fed. That grain-fed meat is going to be more inflammatory. So if you're already dealing with inflammation, getting a grass-fed meat is going to be way more effective. So when you look, there's $5 a pound, you can get a pound of grass-fed ground meat. You're going to do a quarter pound per meal. Grab some vegetables. You want to keep your blood sugar as stabilized as possible when you're dealing with inflammation. So if you've got physical pain, if you've got autoimmune, if you've got any of these things, you need to keep your blood sugar as steady as possible. I like it 85 to 110 is going to be the best range to be in. That's why we use continuous glucose monitors. Or if any of you guys are dealing with diabetes, push your doctor to get you a continuous glucose monitor. Continuous glucose monitor is going to tell you 24/7 what your blood sugar is doing. Is it going up too high? Is it going down too low? We see people reverse type 2 diabetes all the time. Just had a lady, she went from 13 on her A1C down into the 5s in 6 months. Totally possible, totally reversible. You don't have to lose your toes. You don't have to lose your feet, your legs. People that have type 2 diabetes, they end up spending $1 million on their sick care over their life. And we've helped reverse or prevent hundreds, if not thousands, of patients over my career with type 2 diabetes. I've never once got a thank you call from President Biden. He hasn't called and thanked me for saving Medicare all that money, but I'm with.
He might be calling. If somebody holds the phone for him.
Yes. If I hear some mumbling, I'll know who it is. So
this is Joe.
Thank you.
I did this video last week where I told people how you have to pretend he's not working and stuff, and that he's young enough to get disability. But I told people how I would go about getting Biden onto disability. Wouldn't be that hard.
Yeah. No. You could show some videos on that one. Getting that blood sugar, every time your blood sugar spikes up, every time it crashes down, you rev up the immune response and you destroy more tissue if you have autoimmune. So we got to get that blood sugar stabilized. When we're thinking about just some quick things that you can do, yes, you said that, taking too many supplements is overwhelming. But of everything that we look at, turmeric and fish oil, especially a bunch of our viewers are going to be dealing with inflammation, pain of different types. Both of those high dose fish oil and a high dose turmeric can really be helpful. Abracadabra asks, is it okay to eat a lot of fruit? Unfortunately, and we've been tracking blood sugar longer than any clinic in the United States and around the world. We've been using CGMs on every single patient for longer than anybody else out there. And there are very few fruits that do not make somebody spike up. And so if you're eating a lot of fruit, like watermelon, everybody loves watermelon in the summer. Watermelon is like the worst for blood sugar. It's like liquid sugar. I don't know what's in there, but it's liquid sugar. And I'll see people spike to 180, 200. I don't want you over 110. Watermelon is one of the worst that can happen. Yeah. Do you do lives discussing MS being cured? We need more info to help. Yeah. I've got tons of videos on YouTube and on my page, and we go live all the time. I eat peaches. So here's a simple thing to do. If you can't get a continuous glucose monitor from your doctor, on Amazon, you can get a $25 finger prick glucose monitor. Eat that peach. 45 to 60 minutes later, poke your finger and see what it does. And that's what we did for years before we got continuous glucose monitors with our patients. We'd have them poke their finger 6 to 8 times per day.
That's interesting. So it sounds like a very individualized approach. So if I'm hearing you right, in response to this question about can somebody eat peaches, it might have a totally different response to me than it has to you.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Sweet potato, for most people, is worse for their blood sugar than white potato.
Really?
Almost every single person I've ever worked with, rice makes them spike up. Even people from Asia, from Africa, that are Middle Eastern descent, whatever, and their families have eaten rice forever. Rice makes them spike through the roof.
Yeah.
So a lot of these things that we're being told are good or healthy or whatever, that depends on the person. May not be.
What's the functional medicine path? And even just if you want to bring it back to the story that you told us, which is fascinating about your mom, which is amazing. Yeah. How long did it take from the time that she started, adhering to the principles that you're talking about until she no longer was showing the markers for MS anymore?
Yeah, that was probably 3 years. For her to get off the drugs, that was probably 6 months. I've got a patient I just talked to yesterday. She's down in Denver. I'm in Fort Collins, Northern Colorado, and she's in Denver. She's in her 60s, early 60s. She's got MS, and she's been on can't remember which med for a while. But we worked with her a couple years ago and been continuing to do blood work. She's doing great. Her son, he's a school teacher now, and he was literally going to the bathroom 30 times a day.
Wow.
And he went back and got his master's because he's like, there's no way I can go get a job. And on the first appointment, I was like, sure, you just work from home, you get a standing desk and you put it in the bathroom, and you stand up when you can, and then when you got to go, you just sit down. I think it was a little too early to make that joke, but we fixed up. He had steroid injections, all kinds of stuff. We helped fix him up. Totally fine now. He's a school teacher, which you can imagine. You can't be having diarrhea as a school teacher because you can't leave the classroom. My mom was dehydrated for 20 years because she couldn't drink water because she'd have to go to the bathroom. This Saturday, she's 60, 61, and he was having 30 bowel movements a day. They are doing a 6-hour adventure race in Colorado here, where they're going to be mountain biking, climbing, orienteering, hiking, paddling in the water. And she's got MS, and he used to poop 30 times a day, and now they can go do a 6-hour adventure race together. So it's pretty cool to see the changes.
Just like you're saying how the peach might impact me different than it impacts you. I mean, I'm sure that no matter what, whether you can cure MS or you can change somebody's systems like that, the bottom line is people are going to respond different overall to functional medicine. From somebody who's watching this and gets interested in this, how many of the patients, I'm sure you're making everybody healthier, but how many of the patients that you see can expect to see results like you're saying, where we can get you back to health?
Well, here's the thing. If somebody's got MS and, they haven't moved their legs like literally for 10 years, there's been no muscle activity, they're not going to walk again. Odds are that's not going to happen. My mom was not wheelchair bound to where her legs were not moving.
Right.
If they were going to go a very far distance, they'd put her in that, or at Walmart she'd get in the Zippy cart, those type of things. So, somebody with type 1 diabetes, if their pancreas has been destroyed by autoimmune, is not going to get their pancreas working again, at least that I've seen yet. There's some research showing with stem cell injections into the pancreas and different things that they actually are getting insulin production again. But, so there's a lot of different levels of how long somebody's been dealing with things, to what extent their damage is taking place. We're not going to get somebody with rheumatoid arthritis to, now their finger's perfect again. But, can every single person that we work with or follows our principles or watches my videos and starts doing the things that we talk about, can every single person get healthier, like you said? Absolutely. Yeah. There is not a single person we've ever worked with, whether, and we're probably 95+% success rate, and when I say success, like checking off, the boxes on their complaints when they came in. And that even that small group that was like, well, you didn't fix my Lyme disease, or, I still react to mold or whatever. It was like, well, all these other systems, you're healthier. And we can only control what we can control. And that's, for everybody watching, you guys, the good part is, if you have autoimmune, if you're dealing with autoimmune, I always say it's self-induced, and people are like, I didn't cause this, I didn't want this to happen, whatever. And I mean self-induced by, what you ate, what you ingested, did you get my wife, her autoimmune was stimulated by getting the MMR booster. She didn't, that wasn't her fault, but that's what happened. So here's the thing, self-induced meaning things have been done to you, or you've done things to yourself, but that also means you have the self-healing ability. You have this ability to do work to make yourself better. It's not God struck you with whatever you're dealing with, and like, oh, you're screwed. That's it. Don't even think about having to, try to get better. No, there are reasons why you're in the state that you're in. And if you can reverse enough of those reasons why, you can start feeling better. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I guarantee, and this is what I tell every single patient that we work with, in the first 30 days, people feel dramatically better. They'll be down 5, 10, 15 pounds. Their brain fog will be going away. Their digestion will get better. Their inflammation is going to be getting lower. Their face is narrower. People are asking, what are you doing different? And sure, I don't know. I don't heal anything. I don't fix anything. I don't fix MS. I don't heal somebody's rheumatoid arthritis. None of that. But what I do is I figure out, and this is what you guys need to do, whether you work with me or not, doesn't matter. This is your thought process. Needs to be, why is my body going haywire? And what can I do today, tomorrow, the next day, consistently over and over and over to have less bad stuff going on in my body and more good stuff going on in my body? Yeah, Illyria, right. Basically something triggered it so it can possibly be made better. Absolutely. And it's not something, it's some things. I've never seen one thing be triggering autoimmune. It is a multifaceted approach.
When I hear just all the benefits and the success rate, the thought that just like I can't get it out of the back of my head, and I don't know if you're aware of this, but the Social Security Administration does really not recommend, they don't recognize functional medicine as acceptable medical treatment. And it actually, here's the thing that kills me, because one of the reasons that I was so excited to talk to you is, on the side of my cases, I'll be telling people, if you really, my goal is wellness. I want people to see improvement in their health. And I know people who have really significantly changed things for the better by, talking to somebody who specializes in functional medicine. Why might a government agency specifically discount records because they came from a functional medicine doctor as opposed to a medical doctor or a DO?
Yeah. You want the politically correct answer, or?
No, I don't want the politically correct answer.
So here's the deal. There's a reason why I've got a very high life insurance policy, and my wife's worried about me, getting out and talking and doing the things I do. Because, think about this: if we help somebody reverse their type 2 diabetes, and we take $1 million out of the system, that for each person that reverses their diabetes or prevents diabetes, you take $1 million out of the we'll call it the big pharma complex. Cancer. I guarantee you the American Cancer Society does not want cancer cured. On some level, some people on the ground floor that their mom died of breast cancer, and my mom just had breast cancer last year. She survived that as well. But there is a lot of money. The whole pink ribbon thing. Do they want breast cancer gone tomorrow?
There's a great Chris Rock skit where he talks about how the money is not in the cure, the money's in the treatment. And
absolutely. The MS walk, what are they doing? They're looking for the cure. Here's the cure. Fix your leaky gut. Get your vitamin D to 80. Stabilize your blood sugar. Get the heavy metals out of your mouth. Get rid of, I've seen so many women now, breast implants causing autoimmune. There's doctors, tons of doctors out there, they're doing way more explants than implants. It's this toxic. I've seen so many patients. You want another one? I've seen so many patients that after their COVID shots, they either got autoimmune or it flared up their autoimmune again. A couple weeks ago, I had 7 new patients in a row, every single one of them post-COVID shot issue.
Wow.
So why does Social Security not pay for these things? Well, the American Medical Association is driving a lot of their decisions. The American Medical Association has their own thought processes. Why? If it was purely financial, and a lot of your people probably aren't going to be able to afford what we do, et cetera. But let's just say, let me put this into perspective. And if somebody works with me for 6 months, they have full-blown Hashimoto's, they've got lupus, they've got rheumatoid arthritis, and they're going to spend $6,000. It sounds like a lot, but think about this, $6,000 over 6 months. They get 3 months of continuous glucose monitors. That's $750. They get $1,000 in supplementation. They get follow-up blood work. They get 16 visits with myself and one of my metabolic coordinators. They get access to a mindset course where we're teaching people how to change their mindset about what they have going on. And so this is, yes, it's a chunk of money and it's an investment. $6,000. Humira. When you get one injection of Humira, that is $10,000 a month, $120,000 a year, plus all of the ancillary medications, plus all of the visits. That's $200,000 a year that person's paying. And we could help this person reverse and get off all of that stuff for $6,000. You tell me, why wouldn't Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security want to do that? I don't know.
Let me ask you a question. There's, you were talking about, the American Cancer Society, the, American Medical Association. Are there nonprofit, and I'm going to go somewhere with what I'm about to say, by the way, but are there like nonprofits that you support that you think really are standout causes for people?
As far as like on the medical side?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, a lot of it is awareness. A lot of it is, the MS walks, the diabetes cure walks, the autism walks, the Alzheimer's. Not a single one of them is saying, hey, how can, because here's the deal, and people aren't going to like it when I say this. Healthy people don't get cancer. And people are like, well, that's not, I knew a guy that he once, he got cancer and he ran all the time and he was healthy. And I'm like, well, do you really know they were healthy? A healthy body does not allow cancer growth. And so, how much of that research is going into what do we need to do to prevent cancer from taking hold of anybody out there? What do we need to do to prevent? I would have loved to have got a hold of my mom 5 years before she got MS.
Right.
And said, you know what, Mom? You got leaky gut. Your liver's not detoxifying. You're holding on to too much estrogen. You've got this, and this. Let's fix those things. And there's a very good chance you won't ever get MS. I've got a set of 16-year-old twins in Ohio. And they had 2 autoimmune conditions each. And they're like avid track stars and volleyball and all kinds of stuff. And they were so tired, they were starting to crash. Their mom gets on lives every once in a while and says, oh, Izzy and Sammy are doing great. And I guarantee you, if we had not got a hold of them, in 10 years from now, one of them would be on your Zoom call here talking about how to get disability.
Yeah.
And now their lives are absolutely changed. And, it's, I try not to think about it too much because I get frustrated, and I hope you can tell I'm passionate about what I do. And, it's like this, prevention, what is it? Ounce of prevention is worth a
pound of cure,
whatever it is. And that is so true because, are we going to see a cure for cancer in our lifetime? I really doubt it. A cure where you're like, hey, we're going to inject you with this drug and your cancer goes away. That may never happen. We may be gone as a human species before that happens.
Right.
But are we going to be able to say, hey, what are the metabolic causes of cancer? What would cause the body and the immune system to not be able to function at a level to hold cancer at bay? What are we going to do? And so, that's the part that bugs me and that drives me every day is that every single person is being lied to by by the health model, by their doctor, by whatever else, and that, hey, you know what, just take this drug, just do this surgery, and that there is no amount of drug that's going to make you healthy. There's no amount of surgery that's going to make you healthy.
Yeah.
Health comes from within, not without.
The reason, and I love every single thing that you've said, and the reason that I asked the question about who you stand behind and who you support in terms of like in the nonprofit world, I'm in that TikTok creator fund, and they pay me for basically giving people information, which makes no sense to me because I've always been happy to give it away for free. But what I would like to do is take the money that they paid me from the last month and donate it to a group of your choice that you think helps spread the message that you've shared here. So if you just tell me who that group is, we're going to send them a check. And I really appreciate your time today because I wish more people, you said the one thing that I just wish all of my clients earlier on in the stage of working towards disability, which is an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Or did I say that backwards? No, I said it right. And I want to see everybody that I help fire me because they're better and they're back to work. And I think you give people hope for that. So what you're doing.
Yeah, part of it here, Michael, the thing about this, that kind of teen, 20-something-year-old generation gets a lot of flack for not wanting to work. But here's what I can tell you. If I see a 22-year-old come in and see me as a patient, 9 times out of 10, they're going to have crazy digestion stuff, throwing up every day, major diarrhea, something going on. So I don't think it's so much, it's a lazy generation. Sure, there's going to be those kids that are sitting in mom's basement just playing video games, whatever. That's not who I'm talking about. But the majority of people do not want to go on disability at 23 years old and be like, hey, I'm going to spend the next 60 years of my life sitting in my recliner. But they feel like crap. They can't keep a full-time job. They're still living at home. They've got autoimmune. They've got inflammation. They've got PCOS. They're brain fog. They are whacked out. And literally, I mean, of course, some people just like, man, that'd be awesome if I could get on disability and then I don't have to work anymore. Well, I hope you don't have a lot of those people that come to you. The vast majority of my mom, if she was 10 years younger, they were retiring anyways, and my dad retired 2 years after she got diagnosed when she was still sick. But if she was 10 years younger, she would have done every single thing she possibly could to work again because she loved working. She loved teaching. She didn't want to go on disability. She didn't want to have to quit working. And that's the thing that I want for every single person out there is the ability, Illyria, I'd rather work. Absolutely. It's ingrained in us to work, to give, to be, to do. That's what we're supposed to be. And so, hopefully today I inspired at least one of you guys out there to start thinking about your body differently, give you some hope, give you a chance to do something differently and start learning, and just piece by piece, you can start getting better. And I don't know what level it is, and are you going to work full time? I don't know, but you can be better than you are right now.
That's great, Dr. Ben. And thank you so much for taking the time to talk to my audience. Hopefully your audience tuned in as well. I know there were a lot of people who tuned in over the course of this, and it was just really a pleasure spending that time with you. And I'm going to have my office follow up with you so we can get that check to wherever you think it's best suited. All right, man. Thanks,
guys. Take care. Yeah. Follow our page if you want more information. If you want more ideas, channel. Brittany. It's at Dr. Ben Galyardt. I think that's what it is.
That is it.
My handle. Okay. Awesome, guys. Okay. Take care, everybody.
Take care. Bye, everyone.
Thanks for listening to the Triple D Podcast, Donuts, Disability, and Discourse. Rate, subscribe, and tune in next week for more discourse and donuts.